Welcome back to Notch EV. I want to talk about my second service visit with the Lucid Gravity. This is a little update on the ownership and how things have been going with service and fixing the sort of details of the early car and kind of recap what happened on the first service and why we came to the second service. So let's start with the first service was mainly a few fixes of little things, and then something that couldn't be fixed on the first service was my squeaky sort of bad motor in the second row. And that's something that a lot of people have had trouble with. So they said, we didn't, at the time, this was, I guess, December 1st, they said, the seats are back ordered. We'll schedule you for when the seats are available again, and we'll replace your back seat on your second service visit. So that's why this second service was scheduled to do that. However, through the ownership and driving since December to now, which we are now at mid to late February, I've noticed a few other little things, and so I added that to the list for the second service appointment. But one of the big things is the back seat. They didn't have it this time. So this was what I thought was the main reason I was coming back to my second service, but then once I got there, they said they don't have the seats. Now, that would seem sort of strange and upsetting if you scheduled it for that specifically, and that was kind of my initial feeling, but I had other things to do and get fixed, so I kind of was like, okay, that's fine. But I got more details about the seat. And essentially, that seat motor has been trouble for a lot of people, and what I now understand based on talking with service is that they're actually doing a redesign on that back seat to make it work, because I think they were replacing seats and it just kept on squeaking and the motor was just not right. So they're holding off just replacing the seat. They're waiting for a full redesign, which hopefully is something they're doing quick, because I don't have any real confirmation, but it seems sort of like it is kind of confirmed, but based on stuff I've seen on Twitter, it seems like they're holding off on new Gravity deliveries until they get that back seat redesign put in. So I think people are waiting on Gravities and not getting them because of that. That's my understanding. I don't have any first-person data. I just know from talking to one person in public on open Twitter forums, and then also from the service guy. I haven't heard anything from high up at Lucid specifically to me. Anyhow, that's enough about the back seat. My back seat didn't get replaced. That's where we're at with that. But I did get a bunch of other things fixed, so let's kind of go over some of that and I'll tell you where we're at with that. Here at the back of the car, this is my back spoiler, and this is the side that's perfectly flush. This side over here is not quite as flush. You can sort of see that. However, on the first service appointment, they said to me, we adjusted the clips in there to fix it. Now, I actually think that it might have been a little bit worse. And then with all the snow we got, this was worse than it looks right here. It looked even more raised. What I heard this time was different than what I heard on my first service appointment, which was this was something with clips they just adjusted. Now they told me this is not something they can adjust, that this is technically within spec, and so this is what it is. It's not perfect. It's not too bad. It looks to me slightly better than before, so I feel like something happened, but definitely this car is a new model, and even the technicians to the customer service people at the service centers, there's some weird breakdown in communication, because one time it was fixable and another time it's just the way it is. Anyhow, I basically got to live with that. Fortunately, it's not a huge deal. I don't really care. Obviously, I want perfection. This is so close to perfection, it doesn't matter. And as I'm pushing on it, I almost feel like it's going down more. Okay, so fixed, not fixed, that's what it is. let's discuss HomeLink quick, because the Grand Touring Gravity comes with HomeLink. There's a button for it right here on the navigation screen, whatever you want to call this. And when I clicked this before, I would get a QR code that would say something about setting up and getting HomeLink. And since I don't have my own garage that I go to daily, this was low priority for me. But I realized it actually never got installed. And it seems like, I don't know how this happened, but it seems like quite a few customers who should have had HomeLink in their car, somehow it got overlooked and the car went out and some people just didn't have the HomeLink installed. I don't know if that was a supply constraint they just decided to ship past and deal with later, but if you didn't notice, you might not have it, and you should have it, so you could go request it. So I want to use it to open the garage at my family's house, so I definitely wanted it so that I could use that. So with this service installation, I now have HomeLink. Obviously, you can see this. I just went through the service. I haven't added any garage door to it yet, but I'm glad to say that I have it, and it will be something that I set up soon. Right now the car is unlocked, but there has been, I think, a lot of things that happened with the snow in the Northeast lately and how cold it got. I was at 0 degrees, covered in ice. This handle didn't want to go back in, so that is something that they replaced, that rear handle. Also, because of the snow and ice, this window at one point got a little stuck, I think. And you can see it, much like other electric cars, when you pull the handle, it drops down to get out from under the trim. And because of it freezing over hard, I think, when I tried to open it like that, it got just the slightest bit misaligned. So when I rolled up the window, it was probably higher around this area than it was supposed to, so it would hit and then come back down halfway, and then you have to inch it up. That's something you probably saw Kyle complaining about during the out of spec race, but they realigned this window, so this is in alignment and totally fine. Definitely cold weather things that have happened with this car that I think Lucid wasn't prepared for. Also related to cold, I had a warning one time. It was also actually a pretty big update, but when I was up in Maine for Christmas time, when it was 0 and these wheel wells were filled, both of these wheel wells filled with ice and all sorts of stuff, much more than you would ever normally expect. It was, I'll give them credit, it was a lot of snow and ice that day, and I tried to wash it out and got even more water that froze in there. But I had a drivetrain warning, which was not the typical warning that you would get with this car, where you would always get lots of warnings back in the earlier days. It was a different warning than normal, so I noted it, and I wanted to make sure there was not a big problem, something with the drivetrain. So they checked that out and they said A-okay. So this is kind of strange. I was about to tell you about my mileage that I currently have so that I could show you my tires up close, and the area of the car computer that shows where your mileage is not showing up now. It's usually right where my finger is next to the VIN in the past, but now it's gone. I'm not sure where it went. It's also not at software. I'm on 3.4.1 still. Very strange. In the app, I can check, and it says I'm at 10,705 miles on this car. And this is sort of a close-up on my tire. I think my tires look like they're in really good shape still. I don't have a penny, to do the trick, or any sort of measurement device out here, but it looks pretty good. No excessive looking wear in the section that I'm in. I mean, this is going to be harder for you guys to see in here. There's a lot of sand in this driveway, but this also, it looks pretty good. I also made note to them, and they sort of educated me a little here, but this is the camera housing on the car on the front, and you know, that's used for Dream Drive and things. Sometimes it's not a huge deal. It's only happened to me once, and I've heard other people online say it happens to them more. But one time on an early morning drive, I had some condensation up in here that was fogging over the camera and causing some Dream Drive errors. So I made note of that because I didn't know if that should be sealed in a way that doesn't get condensation. But what they told me was there's heating elements up there, and I can see them now. I didn't really look at it. I wonder, it's hard for me to see. It's hard to tell if you can see in the video, in the daylight here, but there's lines. And these are heating elements that are in there. So they said if you put the defrost mode on, those heating elements turn on, and it should clear up any condensation that gets in there. And for me, it's not really much of an issue, but I'm glad to know how it works now to make sure if I do have condensation in there, I can clear it up. Another point of concern that seems to be also amplified by cold weather. There's a front trim here, this piece, whatever you want to call it, this dark silver. And if we come in nice and close, it's above the light bar, and this is essentially glued down. And with the weather, I had this lifting. Right now, since it's cleaned up and they washed the car, they were able to sort of, I think, push this back into place. And it doesn't look like a problem anymore, but it was actually lifting off. The thing about this is, though, they realize now it's a flawed design, the way that this is attached. They originally said to me they could glue this down again, but then service, I think, got in touch with the customer service person who talks to me, and he said that if they glue it, it's not great, because then if they need to do other service, it's glued down and it's a permanent thing. They mentioned to me that this is actually getting redesigned. The way this is, I mean, it'll look the same, but the way it attaches. So much like the back seats, they're seeing some of their production flaws, and they're redesigning some pieces of kind of on the fly here to get these cars more solid. So this will be a new piece soon. And since this isn't bothering me, since it's not currently lifted, some people who have a bad lift actually can hear a whistling. And that's not fun. So you wouldn't want that. I don't hear anything though. So on my next appointment, service number 3, when I get my rear seats replaced, I'll also probably be able to get a new piece here, and that'll solve the problems. So these are kind of some of the growing pains of getting this first early car. However, I'd like to note that for me, it's not an issue. I really don't mind. I mean, I'm also sort of a niche case where I'm making videos about this, so this gives me something to talk about, which is nice. But the car itself is so great, and it's been 100% reliable. I don't mind going through some of these growing pains, and it's actually been kind of a fun journey for me. Anyhow, we'll look into getting a new piece here when it comes. And I should note that all these things, these are all free. They're very, very nice and very helpful at the service centers. And I know that they're working hard because I know a lot of people are coming in with problems. Luckily, they're working through it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are a lot more high maintenance than me. Honestly, I think I'm pretty chill about it. And I'm glad, I'm happy with how they treat me. And the whole thing feels good. That there is my experience with my second service visit. Everything went well. Not all problems are fixed, but everybody's nice, everybody's working hard, and things are going in the right direction. Software is going in the right direction, and I'll keep you guys updated with these sort of service and ownership videos as well as I continue this ownership journey. Thanks for watching Notch EV, and I'll catch you on the next one.